I see all the symptoms of us being live. We're live. We did it. All right, fantastic. Welcome to the Inner Solutions live stream. It is Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. My name is Jim Cipollini. I am here to be your moderator, guide, teacher, coach, friend, co-journeyer, whatever those terms are on the same plane as you. You know, we're all working through this never-ending process of dealing with emotions, dealing with our thoughts, behaviors, emotions, everything kind of aligning through that. And through that process, really just learning the skills, tools, and techniques to feel better. Today, we're focusing mainly on anxiety, but we open this Q&A up to anything mental health related. So whatever you're going through, we want you to share your journey, share your story, share where you are. And we're here to support you. This is a totally safe space in which to express how you feel, share what's going on in you, with you. And yeah. So just to start, if you want, just to give a good hello and a nice little where are you viewing us from would be fantastic. As I kind of just finish this setup here. All right, now we're talking. Nope, that is incorrect what I just did. So we're not talking quite as well. Would love to know. Yeah, would love to know all around the country where you guys are from or all around the world. I know we've definitely had some people, outside of the U.S. So we've definitely had some clients outside of the U.S., which is unbelievable. Makes us an international company. Feel a little bit like Pitbull, Mr. International. Oh. I'm sorry. That's me. That's me forgetting that I'm live right now and that people are watching. Yeah, so this week in our class, we had a really great lesson on emotion regulation straight out of our dialectical behavioral therapy workbook. It was incredible. Got a lot of really positive feedback from the class members as far as this really resonates with me. This was something that was really powerful. We talked a lot about conditioned responses, how anxiety can become a habit. Yeah, and I love that. So let's get real intentional about making this Q&A just a space to ask questions, make sure you're on the right track. You know, it's so important to be proactive in working through anxiety and making sure that you know that while other people can support you and give you the tools and give you the techniques, you are really the one who needs to drive the journey. We are live on YouTube as well, so make sure you check out our YouTube page. There's tons of content about all things anxiety up there as well. Hi from Katrina. What's going on? Hey, Carmen, how are you? Katrina says, still struggling leaving home, but still trying. That's so great. Good for you, Katrina. So break it down for me, Katrina. Help me understand, where is your edge right now? When we talk about edge, it means where is the exact spot you're willing to creep up to, but can't seem to cross. There's this personification of anxiety in our comfort zone. And so if you actually drew your comfort zone, where would it be? Would it be right on the outside of your house? Would it be 20 feet from the door? And if you think about it that intentionally, it starts to get a little easier to be more intentional. We edit this. I want to edit this. Edit. Yeah. Hello from Texas. What's up from Detroit? What's up from Illinois? Latia says, still dealing with depersonalization, derealization, along with severe medical anxiety. I started on a new medication 4 days ago, and I have been shaky today. Not sure if it's medication related or just my anxiety. Yeah, that's really tricky. Really, really tricky. It's the placebo and reverse placebo effect, right? So what's causing the stress? Is it the medication or is it the stress about the medication? Just don't know what it is. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that you can really do, Latea, that will help is just to do some reaffirmation about the medication. It can sound and look something like this. Get yourself in a little bit of a calm state. Take a couple deep breaths. When you're in a calmer state, you just start to reaffirm. This medication is scientifically studied. It has helped thousands and thousands of people, and it's here to help me too. This medication is here to help me. I trust my doctor. I trust the researchers. And I really trust my psychiatrist that they would do everything they can to find me the best medication possible and keep me safe. And just to really start to make sure you're opening up the subconscious as far as the association with the medication. And again, that can just start with something as simple as affirmations or a visualization. Then what I would do, Latea, is just deal with the medical anxiety. So first, identify, has there been a medical trauma in your life that affected you? Second, think about, has there been a medical trauma in your life that affected somebody else that affected you? So if you've seen a medical trauma through something terrible happen to a family member, a friend, a coworker, something that you witnessed that you could maybe classify as some sort of a trauma, some sort of an overwhelm to your system to cause that sort of fragmentation. And then I would say, is there some sort of belief about health, some specific health, some specific situation that was cultivated around you? So for example, like, did you have a parent who was always saying, hey, you know, we got a history of heart disease in our family. You really got to watch your heart, really take care of your heart, really think about your heart, really do this about your heart. Was that just instilled and reinforced with you over and over and over again? And if it was, if you can identify and pinpoint it, then we can work with it a little easier, right? So think about that, let's say, and if you think of something comes to mind, let us know right away. And then we can start to really break it down. So I heard. All right, we are definitely live on YouTube. So great. Let's get back to these comments. That's how health anxiety really, really happens and grows, right? Anxiety looks for those vulnerabilities, whether it's a physical vulnerability. So let's say you've had like shoulder surgery, tend to have a bunch of shoulder pain because of the muscle tension or because of whatever. So it manifests in that physical vulnerability. Or if it's an emotional vulnerability, someplace you've had trauma, someplace you've witnessed something that really scared you, someplace that fear was instilled in you, maybe even a little bit as a kid that never bothered you before, but because you're in such an escalated state, it's growing in you and getting worse. From Indiana, love it. Diane says, dentists next week have high anxiety there. Yeah, the second person today that's talked about dental anxiety. So, and what is the anxiety, Diane? Because a lot of times if you can identify that it's not just the dentist, maybe it's a white coat syndrome thing, maybe it's a being trapped in the chair thing, maybe it's being uncomfortable, maybe it's the fear of having a panic attack when the drill's running. Let me know what the specific anxiety is. Let's start there, Diane, and work with it from there. Steph, what's up? How are you, sweetheart? How's everything? How's your heart today? Katrina says about a half mile from home, give or take some. So Katrina's having trouble leaving the house. She says it's in that area, about a half mile from the house. So what happens when you get a half mile from the house, Katrina? What happens when you drive right up to that line? What is the fear? Is there a conscious thought there? Is there just physical sensations that happen? Is there a conscious fear there? There's a conscious fear. We can really identify and work with it. It might be laying kind of underneath the surface, be a little more stressful than that. So let's get really intentional about just processing through. What I would recommend, Katrina, is write it out. A half mile from home. Well, are you scared of going somewhere where you had a panic attack? Break it down for me. Steph giving a little love to Latea. Appreciate that. Latea says, being worried about everything medically wrong with me is what stresses me out. Yeah, well, where does it come from? What can we do to break the beliefs there? Yeah. And what is it really worried about? Are you worried about suffering? Are you worried about dying? Are you worried about just not being around? Are you worried about getting sick to rack up medical bills? What is it about? Elena agrees with you. Let's say she's struggled with some health anxiety as well. Appreciate you sharing. All of you. Katrina says, I have an infected tooth that hurts, cyst on my wrist that needs to be drained, and needs to get my blood checked on Fori cancer for my can't leave home to get it all done. I need to get my blood checked on something cancer. I don't know exactly what you're saying, but you're saying you need to get these things done and you can't leave the house. So first of all, Katrina, you can leave the house. Yeah, you can leave the house. It feels like you can't leave the house because it feels overwhelming, but the truth, the grounded truth is you can absolutely leave the house, whether you're driving or whether somebody else is driving. I'm not trying to say this to undermine you. I'm trying to say this to kind of really reel the overwhelm of the anxiety, which is, these sort of absolute thoughts. I can't do this. It's not possible for me to do this. Let's reaffirm this, Katrina. So I want you to slow down, and I want you to say, I can leave the house. I can leave the house. Even though it's uncomfortable, I can leave the house. Ideally, I wouldn't be so uncomfortable leaving the house, but I can leave the house. And I can handle the anxiety that comes with it. We talked about the activation of the reward system in our class, okay? So your reward system is what leaks out positive feelings, signals, and chemicals in your brain and body, right? So we eat a candy bar, we get this rush of chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and we just feel like, oh, it's so great. So the problem is sometimes the short-term thing that rewards our system is something that prevents us from feeling negative emotions, something like avoidance. The problem is as you avoid something more and more, the muscles to deal with it atrophy, and it reinforces the anxiety. Hey, if I go back to do this thing, I'm going to feel anxious. I'm going to feel some anxiety. There we go. Now we're in business. So as you avoid things more and more, it reinforces the anxiety. Just like if you don't work out your biceps at the gym, your biceps get weak. And then the next time you go to do bicep curls, is painful. It hurts because your muscle's very weak. And so it's the same with driving and the same with the avoidance that that's been cultivated. Now, I'm not blaming you for it. Sometimes we have to get some space and avoid to get our bearings, to get a little more grounded. And maybe that's where you've been at, Katrina. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to go to that half-mile mark and go another half mile. And then go back within the half mile and then do it again. Turn around and do it again, and turn around and do it again, and turn around and do it again, and build up the strength of what it feels like. Because the truth is, you could leave the house 100%. It's just uncomfortable. It's just anxiety inducing, provoking. Steph says about medical health anxiety, excuse me. Let's say one thing that helps me is knowing that no matter what happens medically, I can still live my life. Nobody has perfect health. It's okay to have things wrong. All you can do is eat healthy, exercise, and maintain your stress levels. Worrying about getting some bad health issue will not prevent it from coming. So yeah, I mean, what Steph's encouraging is kind of some form of cognitive behavioral therapy, reframing in a more realistic, grounded way. So that's something like the health anxiety you have, Latea, is definitely irrational. Not judging it, not saying that it's good or bad. For you, you'd probably label it as bad. It feels like a negative emotion. It's unpleasant and you don't want to feel it. First, we have to get rid of I don't want to feel this. I need this to go away. Okay. We need to release and loosen up on that resistance because it's just going to cause you to feel powerless and frustrated. Okay. Second, what we need to do is we really need to identify the thoughts as irrational. Don't try to stop them. Practice mindfulness. Observe the thoughts, let them float by, but still keep yourself grounded in saying, well, this is totally irrational anxiety. This is just not the truth. It's not, these thoughts are a symptom of anxiety. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my body, and these physical sensations I'm feeling are probably nothing. I've been checked out. I've gone to the doctor. I've gone to the cardiologist. I've gone to the gastroenterologist, whatever it is. And I've been to all the doctors and everything. They tell me I'm fine. I'm not smarter than the experts. My anxiety is definitely not smarter than the experts. Okay. Anxiety is not smarter than the experts. Then it's just feeling the physical sensations of the anxiety, right? So you feel without resisting it, without trying to push it out. You just take a couple minutes or maybe more and you feel the flutter in your heart. You notice how you feel towards it. You allow it to happen. You feel the dis-ease in your stomach, the discomfort. You feel the tension in your shoulders. And you just address it. Maybe you send a little breath to those areas. Maybe you slow your breathing down. Maybe you say and remind yourself, I'm safe. I'm safe. Doctors told me I'm fine. I'm safe. Latea says, yes, my father passed from COPD and a mutual friend just passed out and died from something so minor. He was only 29, so that just worries me, and I always think of that. Yeah, so Latea, what you're having is a trauma response. It's a form of PTSD, right? So you witness something that's painful, and it shocks your system. Yeah. So what I'd recommend, let's say, is consciously you get with a coach or a counselor outside of that and you reprocess the event. And you get in touch with this part of you that's so shocked and so scared of that happening because it's full of terror. I feel like my body always hurts and my chest always hurts. Yeah. Diane says, going to the dentist, always afraid they are going to hurt me. Once the drilling stops, I'm okay. Have you been hurt at the dentist before, Diane? Have you been there before? Have you been hurt? Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of PTSD as well. Elizabeth, what's up, dude? How are you? So good to see you. So glad that you could stop by. Great to see you. Great to see you. How's everything? So I heard you found. I have a fear, Katrina says, of losing control or having a bad panic attack and people thinking I'm crazy. I get you. Losing control. So panic attacks don't cause you to lose control. They don't cause you to die, and they don't cause you to go crazy. But people thinking you're crazy is a little out of your control. But most of the time when somebody's having a panic attack, I don't think people think they're crazy. I think people think they're having an anxiety attack. So what does that mean if people think you're crazy? Because there's a deeper fear in there. What if people think you're crazy? Would that cost you your job? Would it cause you to feel isolated? Would it cause people to dismiss you? Would you lose friends? Yeah. What is the deeper meaning in there? I think if we break that down, it helps to break down the situation. Stephanie says, I can say for me, the medical fear was this dreadful imagined future. Like I wouldn't be able to keep my life the way it is. But when I realized this imagined future wasn't even close to being real, that's when I broke the cycle of worry. Chances are, whatever the medical thing is, I'll find a way to cope. And even if life is different because of it, that doesn't mean it's dreadful or negative. It's true. I mean, think about, has there ever been something that's happened to you that turned out to be a kind of blessing in disguise? Like a really small example of this is like when we're not, I'm a musician, and when we're in the studio, and sometimes there will be like the dog will bark when you're recording. And you hear it, and maybe it's like on beat. And you're like, that's kind of cool. And we call those happy accidents, kind of a blessing in disguise. In life, the most empowering mindset is to reframe, and this is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, reframe events to release the resistance, to accept them radically, and to pivot into the mode of, well, now what? Or good. Or extracting the usefulness out of this. Wow. I can't drive. Now I have more time to be home and spend time with my family, and I can work on these projects I needed to do while I'm doing my exposure therapy and driving less. Now, I'm not saying I'll never be able to drive and I'll never be able to do this and, minimizing the positives, discounting the positives, those kind of cognitive distortions that we talk about all the time. What I'm doing is framing and reworking my mind to really point out the opportunity in everything without the extra added catastrophization. And if you notice the catastrophization, just stop, just slow down, take a second. Don't say anything, don't do anything. Just stop, pause, slow your breathing down. It's so easy to get overwhelmed and just almost like possessed. And when that happens, you just need to stop. It's happening. Okay. Stop. Slow your body down. Change your posture. Put your shoulders back. Sit up straight. Put your feet flat on the floor and just kind of step into your intuitive, stronger, wise-minded self that knows you can handle this. If you have to, put your hand kind of below your xiphoid process, between your xiphoid process and your belly button. Just put your hand there. This is like the center of your body, your core. Feel your stomach expand and contract. When you feel yourself in that state, just stop, pause, calm yourself. Change your posture. Insert a thought. So these thoughts are cycling through, right? Oh my God, what if this, and what if this, and what if this? And you can either do the so what's. So what if there's something wrong with my heart? I'll get it dealt with. So what if there's a tumor in my arm? I'll get it cut out. Or you can just say no. Like, nope. Just stay put. Don't act on the anxiety. Just, nope. I'm not doing that. Katrina says, or Steph says, what if they knew you were just having a panic attack and they helped to comfort you? Yeah, that's the most common thing that happens when you have a panic attack in public. Is people come through and they comfort you and they say, hey, are you okay? You say, wow, I might, yeah. I was having a panic attack. Oh, wow. You'd be surprised. Do you know that it's like 18 to 20% of people have a diagnosed anxiety disorder? 18 to 25%. That's just diagnosed. 18 to 20%. That's a lot of people. It's like 1 in 5. So the chances are, if you have a panic attack in public, there's a whole 2 handfuls of people who also struggle with anxiety. It's pretty wild. Diane says, dentist traumatized when I was a child. My dentist now has never hurt me. Still worry about it ahead of time, though. Yeah, so Diane, so I bet it feels like a childlike fear, doesn't it? I bet it feels like you're a child and you're back in that dentist's office when that kicks up. So what I want you to do, Diane, is while you're thinking about the dentist tomorrow, I want you to sit and close your eyes. And I want you to feel where you feel it in your body. Physically, where do you feel that? I want you to close your eyes and focus on that area specifically. And I want you to see that traumatized little you. And as you see that traumatized little you, I want you to be with it. Ask it if it's okay if you come over. And I want you to connect with it. I want you to reassure it. Her. Reassure her. Let her know she's safe. If it's okay, you ask her to hold her. And then look her in the eye. And just tell her that you got her. It's going to be okay. That it is okay. Just remind her who you are, how old you are. And tell her you're going to do your best to support her and be there for her. And when you feel it kick back up, that's that activated of that memory, that part of you that's stuck there. And ask that child if they want to release some of the pain through you, whether they want to cry because they're so scared, whether they're overwhelmed, all that stuff. But that part of you needs you. Needs you to support it, needs you to be there for it, needs you to connect with it. Joe says, I did this heart stress test and everything came back good and now my anxiety's gotten better. Thank God. Good for you, Joe. We like congruent, simple, clean outs like that. That's the best. Where it's just like, got my stress test done. Doctor said heart's fine. Perfect. Now, Joe, make sure you're careful. Don't be complacent. Keep doing the good health behaviors. Keep making sure you're taking care of your nervous system. Keep making sure you're dealing with your thoughts, practicing meditation and mindfulness. Make sure you're spending time in good environments. Make sure you're speaking out to people, expressing yourself. Because a lot of times, you'll be worried about the heart. We're worried about the heart, but really what's increasing our general anxieties are behaviors and our emotions. So make sure you keep on. Be vigilant, my friend. Joanne, what's up? Joanne, there's something I've been saying. It's a great song. It's by a local band in Boston. Christina says, can't even leave the house to drive myself anywhere. Christina, how long has that been going on? What are you doing about it? What are you doing to get yourself to feel better? I see that you're in Idaho. Love Idaho. Boise is gorgeous, man. Underrated. Beautiful place. Let's see what we're doing on YouTube. We got a couple people watching on YouTube. Very cool. Welcome, YouTubers. How's your hearts today? I'm giving mental health check-ins. Joe says, plus I don't drink alcohol no more. Good for you, Joe. That's cool. Yeah. Gina, what's up? Wow, this is so helpful. Stop, get in touch with your higher self, and playing the so what game helped me. Yeah, turning those what ifs into so whats. That's a DARE method. DARE is a great book. Make sure you give it a read. Barry McDonough. My plants are falling apart a little bit. So it's been about 2 weeks, Christina, and is that 2 weeks of not driving or 2 weeks of really heavy anxiety? Or has the anxiety been going on for a little bit longer? Yeah, Diane. So that's how our body holds on to memories. Is it remembers them physiologically. And if you do some reprocessing, I mean, you really ideally want to do it with a coach or a therapist. So you really want to make sure you're giving it the energy to reprocess the event. So you do it. What happened to trigger the anxiety, Christina? How did it get so strong? Did it seemingly come out of nowhere? Or did something happen? A lot of times there could be a triggering event, just like one individual triggering event, or what can happen more often is it's been a long time coming. Like you've been functioning at a level where it's higher than average. Maybe you're at a level 5, 6, 7 out of 10 for a long time. And then something happens like a global pandemic, or you lose a job, or a breakup, or you have to spend more time alone. And it just pushes you into that upper echelon and pushes things to where they feel like out of control. Out of control. Had an awful panic attack driving 3 weeks ago and almost passed out driving. Yeah, I mean this is unfortunately the typical story. Almost passed out driving. So here's a question I have for you. How did you handle it, Christina? What happened? You had a panic attack, and what happened? Did you pull over? Did you slow your breathing down? What did you do to deal with the panic attack? Because here's where I'm going with this. You handled it perfectly. When you say almost passed out, getting lightheaded doesn't necessarily mean you almost passed out. And when you, typically when you have a panic attack, your blood pressure goes up. And so fainting or passing out is when your blood pressure goes down. Like low blood sugar. Yeah. Hey, Teresa. What's up, girl? I pulled over and got out of the car and sat for a while until I felt not so overwhelmed. So what I'm going to say, Christina, is you handled it absolutely perfectly. So what I want you to start doing is just to cultivate some trust in the future self as much as possible. I mean, mixed in with doing some gradual exposure therapy. Get in the car, even just start it. Just start the car, stay there. Just stay in the started car and just stay there until you feel a little more relaxed. Put in a little background noise. Oh, that's nice. Nice stream to relax us. Yeah, because the truth is, again, it's like under a crisis situation, and there's no reason to think anything else wouldn't happen. So what we don't want to do is push you too far to where you go drive and it becomes another re-traumatizing event. But what we do want to do is give you the opportunity to build up the strength, build up the muscles to be able to cope with driving. Because you're going to need to drive. And the truth is you can drive. One time, let's look at ratios. 1 out of, how many times have you driven in your life? It's a good question. How many times does a 35-year, I'm just guessing you're 35. I didn't look at your picture or anything. Drive her car. I have no idea. But let's say you've driven 16,000 miles a year. Let's call it, let's even say 10,000 a year. You've been driving for 20 years. So you've been driving for about 23 years. So you've driven 230,000, no. What's 23 times 10,000? Yeah, 230,000 miles in your life. One of those miles, you had a panic attack. 1 out of 230,000 miles. So that's like far. and unlikely. So let's do the math and say, okay, well, you handled it and you handled it perfectly. So there's no reason not to believe that in the future. So I would encourage you, do the exposure therapy. Go drive down the street. Go drive to the next block over. Go driving around the block. See how it feels. Do it, just keep doing it. Do it for maybe 20 minutes until you feel kind of bored. So you feel like, okay, this is not a big deal. I'm fine. It's great. And then you start to venture out a little bit more and more. Go drive a little on a road that's maybe a little faster, maybe a little more busy. You just do it, stay within, that mile of the house for a while. Then you start to branch out a little bit more. When you feel really ready, you go on the highway. When you feel really ready, you go on a bridge. You get stuck in some traffic. You just make it happen. That's what we call exposure therapy. There's a couple caveats to it. So come up with what we call your exposure hierarchy, which means you think about, out of a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being the scariest thing related to driving for you, what's at like a level 10? What's at a level 20? What's at a level 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or anywhere in between there? Start with the low things and do them. Maybe it's thinking about driving. So think about driving until you feel indifferent, until you feel bored with it. Just think about it. And don't push yourself too hard, but also don't ignore it, because again, those muscles are going to atrophy. And we want to keep them strong. We want to keep them strong. Now you're at a point. So for you, if this is new to you, Christina, you're also more likely to be able to work through it quickly. When it becomes a habit is when it becomes really harder to work out. Not even close to impossible. It just takes more time, more repetition. You're reconditioning and retraining your mind to have a different response. And so think about like when you're training your pup. Takes repetition and time, repetition and time. Then it becomes like so easy, and then you can build on it. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's up, Kat? How are you, sweetheart? How's your heart today? I love it. Hey, Crystal, how are you? How do you deal with health anxiety? I have an MRI coming up for my heart, and I'm freaking out, not knowing if I am okay or if something is wrong. Are you freaking out about it's a health anxiety? You're worried about the results of the health anxiety. Okay. So you're not worried about the MRI, you're worried about the health anxiety. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways to practice. It sounds like you have it coming up. How soon is it coming up? If I had a lot of time, the first thing I'm going to do, Crystal, is I'm going to run some cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to write down all the thoughts I have. What if it's this? What if it's this? What if this happens? What if this happens? All of it. What if this happens? So yeah, two separate kind of things. Let's deal with the health anxiety. First thing I'm going to do is do thought replacement, aka cognitive behavioral therapy. What if I find out I have XYZ? And I would say, so what if I have XYZ? I'll go to the doctor. We'll deal with it. What if I learn I have a terrible disease? Well, so what if I learn I have a terrible disease? I'm glad I'm catching it so I can do something about it. Okay? So that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm doing some thought replacement. I am going to the doctor, so there must be something wrong with me. That's number one. I'm going to do thought replacement. Number two, I'm going to practice radical acceptance, which means I'm going to sit and I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go of the attachment I have to whatever I'm attached to. I'm just going to do my best to release control. And I'm going to get in touch more with my intuitive, kind of deeper, wise mind, right? That capital S self that we are at our core, that's calm, confident, and accepting. And maybe my mind's going to worst case scenario, Crystal, and that's okay. Say, what if I find out I'm going to die? I'm going to say, so what? It's not going to hurt. So what? I can handle it. So what? At least I've got time to get my affairs in order. And then what I'm going to do is say, I am not a future predictor. I don't know what's going to happen. And then I'm going to remember, like, I'm going to be surrounded by doctors, be surrounded by people who are experts, and just do all the thought replacement there, the reframing. Hey, it's a really positive thing. I'm going to get the MRI. I should. It's gonna show me what I need to do, which maybe will be nothing, which is fantastic. So then when we talk about getting into the MRI, a lot of people with anxiety have trouble with MRIs because they feel trapped. So there's a few different techniques. I mean, if it's too late for you to ask for the open MRI, that helps a little bit. But you can experiment with different things. What I'm making sure I do in the MRI is I'm breathing. I might ask them to, like, can you put a fan on me to keep me cool? I might ask them, can I go in with a cold compress? Because cold will activate that rest and digest response, that vagus nerve. The parasympathetic nervous system. And ultimately, I'm going to try to set myself up for success as best as I can. But just while I'm in there and I have this, feeling of being trapped, I'm breathing. I'm slowing my breathing down. I'm in a meditative state. Maybe I'm visualizing. Maybe I'm occupying my mind as best that I can, distracting myself, soothing myself. Maybe I'm using a safe place meditation during the whole thing, where I just think about my favorite, safest place in the world while I'm there. For me, it was sitting on Mount Washington in New Hampshire. I gotta crack my back, excuse me. But so I'm going in with strategies, lots of strategies, sensory soothing tools, prepared to distract myself. Maybe you can ask if somebody could be in there to talk to, so they could reassure you. Or maybe you can visualize something like me talking to you and saying, Crystal, you're okay. Crystal, you're really okay. Like, Crystal, you're really okay. Really, really okay. So you set those foundations right away. Go in with a good strategy. You can ask, just address it when you get there. Hey, I struggle with anxiety. I kind of have some tools to help me through this. What can I use? Is it okay to have like a cold compress on my head? Or is that going to mess with the thing? I think you should be okay. It's only magnetic stuff you're not allowed to have. And then as far as the results, Crystal, you have to do the thought replacement. Help the part of you that's really scared about the health anxiety. Feel where you feel it in your body. See that version of you. See that part of you, the scared part of you. Go to it, hold it, help it. I mean, that's a lot of different techniques. I don't want to overwhelm you, but there's a lot. And then I think the safe place meditation is really great. Visualize the safe place. Could be in nature, could be your childhood room, could be a safe person. You can maybe have something in your hand. I don't know. I think you have to be pretty still. It's mostly the feeling of feeling stuck that tends to overwhelm people. Feeling like you can't move, or you can't get out, or you have to, And that's just, it's illusory. It's illusory. So, and then ask them when you get there, like, do you guys recommend anything that I do? Do you have a suggestion? Kat says, I'm good. I have my moments, but I'm hanging in there. Love it. Araceli, what's up? I used their techniques and it helped me so much. I'm so much better. That's so great, Araceli. Yeah, I wish we could take credit for our techniques, but what we've done is researched and compiled what we consider the most effective techniques, the stuff that helped us, and the stuff that continues to help our clients and class members. By the way, guys, if you're interested in joining our class or doing some one-on-one coaching, shoot our page a message here on Facebook. Yeah, don't be passive, don't be complacent. We've got all kinds of support for you, affordable for all incomes possible. We work with you. You know, our class is about $45 a week. We do offer partial scholarships if you're having an economic hardship. You can ask about those. So we make it affordable for anyone. And get help, get support. Here's the other thing too. If you're with a therapist and you feel like you've stagnated, so important to be assertive in talking to your therapist and telling them what your intention is, telling them what your desire is for therapy, or just opening up that conversation with your therapist. Hey, we've been here 6 months. I don't feel like I'm making progress, or I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of tools. And ultimately, if you're kind of met with these walls or you're met with just some sort of dead end, it's time to move on. You evolve out of coaches and therapists all the time, except us, of course. Just kidding, sort of. No, I am just kidding. People do get better and evolve kind of out of us pretty consistently. But you got to understand, it's like dealing with the anxiety or dealing with the panic attack is the first start of the journey. Dealing with the anxiety is completely different. And also, guys, if you do get value, we are word of men. Not sure what that means. If you do get value out of even the live stream or you've been in the class or you've had some coaching, please leave us a review on this Facebook page. It helps us so much. It takes 2 seconds. Leave a 5-star review. Give some feedback for other people who come through hoping to find support, because our goal is really to try to help at least 1 million people by 2027. We're on track, we're on trajectory, but we do need your support. So please recommend the channel, give us a review if it feels like you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All that stuff really helps us. I'm sorry, I know self-promotion is a little annoying, but we are trying to help people. Don't forget that. And also, like, if you have song requests, please just post them in the... No, I'm just kidding. if you have a song you want to hear... I'm so used to playing music on the computer that sometimes it's just natural for me to be like, yeah, the request line is open. Just if you have a song you want to hear, just put it in the chat. So great. Well, good, man. I think this is a good place to wrap. I want to practice a little gratitude and just say I'm so grateful for you guys that come here, you guys that are working your asses off to make your situation better. I know anxiety sucks. I know going through what you're going through is brutal. Like I said, we started this company because we've been through it. And it's so incredibly debilitating and overwhelming, and it can feel hopeless. And it's not just anxiety, because you're dealing with anxiety and the frustration and the resistance and the way it affects your family and your job and your children and your friends and your social life and your driving and your joy of the world. So please understand that no matter how much pain or how lost you feel, no matter how long it's been going on, no matter how intense it is, you're never, ever stuck. You might just need some support. So don't be complacent. Reach out for help, even if it's reaching out to say, hey, what type of therapy should I do? What should I be doing? Like coming here with the Q&A. But we've got the help here for you. Join our class. Get some one-on-one coaching. Seriously, we are effective and here for you. We work for you. Other than that, guys, I just want to send out lots of love and good mental health. My name is Jim. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Contact us through Facebook or hello@innersolutions.academy. Have a great one, guys. Peace.